She's his brother's widow, off limits by Mafia law. He's been breaking rules for her since day one. I knew Lorenzo was watching again. I could feel his gaze like a physical touch, heavy and constant. As I pushed Luca's stroller through Central Park, the winter sun was weak, but Luca needed air, and I needed to escape the suffocating sympathy of the Moretti compound for an hour. "Mama, cold," Luca said, his little nose red above his scarf. "I know, baby. Just a few more minutes, then hot chocolate at home." I adjusted his blanket, my wedding ring catching the light, Marco's ring, which I still wore 2 years after his funeral. 2 years since the ambush that took my husband. 2 years of being the grieving widow, the tragic figure, the woman everyone handled with careful sympathy. 2 years of pretending I didn't notice Lorenzo in the shadows, breaking every rule to protect me. The black SUV was parked 50 yards back, as always. Not close enough to be obvious, but near enough that Lorenzo's men could reach me in seconds if needed. I wasn't supposed to know about the protection detail. The family had officially given me space after Marco's death, respecting my wishes for independence. But Lorenzo had never respected that wish. Not for a single day. My phone buzzed. Unknown number, but I knew who it was. Lorenzo changed his number weekly, a security measure. But he always found ways to reach me. "You shouldn't be out this long. Temperature is dropping. Luca needs to be home," I typed back without looking at the SUV. "He's fine. Stop watching me. Never." The single word made my heart clench. We'd been dancing around this for years. This thing between us that couldn't exist, shouldn't exist, violated every rule of the family he now led. "Your father would be furious if he knew you were breaking omerta. My father retired to Florida, and I've been breaking rules for you since the day Marco brought you home. One more won't kill me." I stopped walking, staring at my phone. Lorenzo had never been this direct before. The careful distance he usually maintained was crumbling, and I didn't know if I was terrified or relieved. Another message. "Meet me tonight." The usual place. 10 p.m. We've been shouldn't for 7 years, Elena. I'm tired of it. Tonight. Please. 7 years. He'd counted. From the moment Marco had introduced me as his girlfriend, Lorenzo had looked at me like I was something precious and forbidden, and I'd felt the pull between us like gravity. I'd married Marco anyway. Because he'd asked first. Because he was charming and safe and the obvious choice. Because Lorenzo had never said a word, never made a move, just watched with those dark eyes that saw too much. And now Marco was gone, and the rules that kept Lorenzo away were the only thing standing between us and a scandal that would fracture the family. "Mama?" Luca tugged at my coat. "Go home now?" "Yeah, baby. Let's go home." I turned the stroller toward my house, the small townhouse Marco had bought us, insisting I needed my own space separate from the family compound. Another gift from a man who'd loved me but never quite understood me. Lorenzo understood me. That was the problem. The SUV followed at a discreet distance all the way home. I pretended not to notice, just as I'd pretended for 2 years. But tonight, the pretending would end. At 9:45 p.m., after Luca was asleep and Sophia had left, my sister stayed most nights, worried about me being alone. I stood in my closet debating what to wear to meet the man I shouldn't meet. The usual place was a storage unit Lorenzo owned under a shell company, completely off the grid, no cameras, no witnesses. We'd met there 3 times in the past 2 years, always at his insistence, always with the pretense of family business that could have been handled over the phone. We'd never touched, never crossed the line, but the wanting had been thick enough to choke on. I settled on jeans and a sweater, nothing that looked like I was trying. But I left my hair down instead of in the practical ponytail I usually wore, and I wore the perfume Marco had given me for our last anniversary, a small rebellion, wearing my dead husband's gift to meet his brother. The drive took 20 minutes. The storage facility was industrial, mostly used by businesses, dead empty at this hour. Lorenzo's car was already there, not the family's obvious luxury vehicles, but a nondescript sedan that wouldn't attract attention. He was leaning against it when I pulled up, arms crossed, backlit by the security light. Even in jeans and a leather jacket instead of his usual suits, he looked dangerous and magnetic. "You came," he said, as I got out of my car. You said please. You never say please. I'm trying a new approach. Politeness instead of commands. His eyes traveled over me, dark and hungry. It's harder than I thought. Lorenzo. Inside. Please. There it was again. That word that sounded foreign in his mouth. I need to show you something. He unlocked the storage unit. Fluorescent lights flickering on to reveal not stored boxes, but a fully furnished space. Couch, table, mini-fridge, even artwork on the walls. A secret apartment hidden in plain sight. What is this? I stepped inside, taking in the details. The coffee maker that matched the one in my kitchen. The blanket that looked like the one from Luca's nursery. The framed photo on the table. Marco, Lorenzo, and me at a family gathering, all smiling, before everything fell apart. My refuge. The place I come when being Lorenzo Moretti, head of the family, gets too heavy. He closed the door behind us, the space suddenly intimate, and the place I come when I need to feel close to you without breaking every rule I'm supposed to uphold. Lorenzo, let me finish, please. He moved closer but didn't touch. I've loved you for 7 years, Elena. From the moment Marco brought you to Sunday dinner, and you argued with my father about politics. From the moment you laughed at my joke that no one else understood. From every moment after, my breath caught. We'd never said it out loud, never acknowledged what hummed between us. You married my brother, he continued, voice rough. And I stood at that wedding and watched you promise yourself to him, and I died inside. But I smiled and gave the toast and played the supportive brother, because that's what the family needed. What he needed. What you needed. I loved Marco, I know. I know you did. He was a good man, and he loved you completely. And I'm not trying to diminish that. His hand lifted like he wanted to touch my face, then dropped. But Elena, you felt it too. This thing between us. Tell me you felt it. I couldn't lie. Not to him. I felt it. From the beginning, I felt it and I ignored it because I loved Marco and I'd made a commitment and you're loyal to a fault. One of the things I love about you. His smile was sad. But Marco's gone, and I've spent 2 years respecting the mourning period, respecting the family rules, respecting every goddamn boundary except the one about staying away from you. Because Elena, I can't. I've tried. God knows I've tried. But I can't stop protecting you, watching you, breaking rules to keep you safe. Your father retired. The old rules are his rules, not mine. The family will adjust, or they won't. But Elena, I'm not asking permission anymore. I'm asking you. He finally touched me, his hand cupping my face with devastating gentleness. Do you feel this? Is it just me? Or do you lie awake at night thinking about what it would be like if circumstances were different? Lorenzo, we can't. That's not an answer. It's the only answer I have. You're Marco's brother, Luca's uncle, the head of the family. We can't just... I pulled away, wrapping my arms around myself. There are rules for a reason. To protect the family structure. To prevent exactly this kind of what? Love, happiness, a chance at something real? His voice rose, frustration breaking through his usual control. Elena, I've been in love with you for 7 years. I've watched you marry my brother, have his child mourn his death. I've protected you in secret, broken rules in secret, loved you in secret. And I'm done. I'm so goddamn done pretending I don't want you. What are you asking me to do? Be with me. Really with me. Not in secret. Not breaking rules in the shadows. Openly. Honestly. Let me court you properly. Take you to dinner. Be in Luca's life as more than just his uncle. He moved closer again. Let me love you the way I've wanted to for 7 years. The family will never accept it. Then we'll leave. Start over somewhere else. I'll step down, give the leadership to Antonio, and we'll build a life that's ours. You'd give up everything? For me? Elena. He said my name like a prayer. You are everything. The rest is just noise. I stared at him, this powerful, dangerous man offering to throw away an empire for a chance with me. It should have felt overwhelming. Instead, it felt like the first breath after drowning. I can't ask you to do that. To give up your family, your position, you're not asking. I'm offering. There's a difference. His thumb traced my cheekbone. But I need to know, is there a chance? If I do this, if I risk everything, will you meet me halfway? Or am I in this alone? You're not alone. I whispered, the words escaping before I could stop them. You've never been alone in this, Lorenzo. I've been fighting it for 7 years, too. His eyes closed briefly, like my words were a physical relief. When he opened them again, the vulnerability there stole my breath. Then why? Because guilt is a powerful thing. Because every time I look at you, I see Marco's face. You have his smile, his laugh, the same way of tilting your head when you're thinking. My voice broke. And I loved him, Lorenzo. I really did love him. I know you did. I'm not asking you to forget him or stop loving him. His hand was still on my face, thumb still tracing gentle patterns. I'm just asking if there's room for me, too. Even a small space. I'll take whatever you can give me. That's not fair to you. Let me decide what's fair to me. Elena, I've had 7 years of watching from a distance. 7 years of scraps and stolen glances and pretending I didn't feel like dying every time he touched you. If all you can give me is scraps now, that's still more than I've ever had. You deserve more than scraps. I deserve you. But I'll take what I can get. His forehead dropped to rest against mine. Tell me what you're thinking. Please, because you're killing me with this silence. I thought about the past 7 years. About the wedding, where Lorenzo's toast had been so beautiful it made me cry, but his eyes had been empty. About family dinners where I'd catch him watching me with an expression I couldn't name. About the day Marco died, when Lorenzo had held me while I sobbed, and I'd felt guilty for noticing how perfectly I fit against him. I'm thinking, I said slowly, that I've been lying to myself for a very long time. That I convinced myself what I felt for you was just admiration or family affection or some kind of transference because you look like Marco. But it's not. It never was. His breath hitched. Elena, I'm thinking that 2 years ago, at the funeral, when you held me and said you'd always protect me, I wanted you to never let go. And I hated myself for wanting that while my husband was being lowered into the ground. That's not... Let me finish. I pulled back enough to look at him properly. I'm thinking that every time I see your car following me, every time I find money in Luca's college fund that I know came from you, every time I wake up safe in a world that took my husband, I know it's because of you. Because you've been breaking rules since day one to keep me safe. Always, he said roughly. I'll always keep you safe. But I'm also thinking about Luca, about what this would mean for him. About him growing up with people whispering that his uncle stole his father's wife. About the family fractured because we couldn't follow the rules. Luca is 3. He'll grow up knowing he's loved by both of us. That's what will matter. And when he's older, when he understands, we'll tell him the truth. That I loved you before his father did. That I stepped aside because Marco asked first, and I loved my brother too much to hurt him. That after Marco died, I waited 2 years before saying anything, because I respected his memory. Lorenzo's voice was fierce now. We'll tell him that love isn't always simple or easy or conventional. But it's real, and it's ours, and we chose it despite everything. You make it sound simple. It's not simple. It's the hardest thing I've ever done. Loving you in silence, watching you with him, respecting boundaries that are tearing me apart. But Elena, what is simple is this. I love you. I love Luca. I want to build a life with you both. Everything else is logistics we can figure out. I stared at him, this man who'd been a silent guardian for years, now laying his heart bare. When did you know? That you loved me? He smiled, sad and sweet. You really want to know? Yes. The 3rd time Marco brought you to family dinner. You were nervous, trying so hard to make a good impression. My father said something cutting about women not understanding business. Marco started to laugh it off like he always did, trying to keep the peace. Lorenzo's thumb traced my jaw. But you didn't laugh. You looked my father in the eye and said, "With all due respect, Mr. Moretti, dismissing half the population's business acumen isn't traditional values. It's just lazy thinking." Despite everything, I laughed. I can't believe I said that to your father. Neither could anyone else. The table went silent. Marco looked terrified. Antonio actually gasped. His smile widened. And I thought, this woman? This brilliant, brave, incredible woman who just told off the head of the Moretti family. That's when I knew I was in trouble. What did your father say? He laughed. Actually laughed. Said you had spirit. Then he spent the rest of dinner testing you. and you held your own on every topic." Lorenzo's expression turned serious again. "And I sat there watching Marco fall more in love with you by the second, knowing I'd already lost you but unable to stop falling anyway." "Lorenzo, why did you marry him?" "Really? It wasn't accusatory, just curious. Was it just because he asked first?" I thought about how to answer honestly without hurting him more. I married him because he was safe. Because he made me laugh and never pushed too hard and I could breathe around him. Because when I was with him, I didn't feel like I was standing on the edge of a cliff. And with me? With you I feel like I'm falling. Like gravity stopped working and I'm in free fall and I don't know if there's ground below or just endless sky. Is that bad? It's terrifying. But I touched his face, finally letting myself do what I'd wanted for years. I think I'm tired of safe. I think I'm tired of breathing easy. I think... My voice dropped to a whisper. I think I want to fall. He kissed me. 7 years of restraint shattered in an instant. His mouth on mine was desperate and reverent, hungry and gentle, like he was trying to memorize the taste of me, while also claiming me completely. My hands fisted in his jacket, pulling him closer, and he made a sound low in his throat that sent heat straight through me. When we finally broke apart, both breathing hard, his forehead rested against mine again. "Elena," he breathed, "tell me this is real. Tell me I'm not imagining. It's real." I kissed him again, shorter this time, but no less intense. "God help us both, it's real. What do we do now?" "I don't know. Figure it out as we go?" I laughed shakily. "I'm not good at breaking rules, Lorenzo. I'm the girl who always colored inside the lines." "Then I'll teach you. I've been breaking rules for you for years. I'm an expert." He pulled back enough to look at me properly. "But Elena, I need you to know, this isn't casual for me. This isn't scratching an itch or forbidden fruit or any of that bullshit. This is me asking for forever, for a life together, for a chance to be Luca's father in truth, not just on paper. He has a father. He has a father's memory, and I would never try to replace Marco or make Luca forget him. But Elena, I can be there for him, for both of you. In all the ways that matter, your family I will adjust. My father's retired. Giovanni has no say anymore. Antonio will support me, he always has. The younger generation doesn't care about old rules, and the ones who do?" He shrugged. "They can disapprove all they want. I'm done living my life by other people's rules." "When did you become so rebellious?" "The moment I fell in love with my brother's girlfriend. Everything after that was just practice." We stayed in the storage unit for another hour, talking about logistics and fears and possibilities. Lorenzo made coffee in the little coffee maker, and we sat on the couch like a normal couple discussing plans, except our plans involved navigating family politics and widows' mourning periods, and a 3-year-old who didn't know his uncle wanted to be his stepfather. "We should tell Luca first," I said, "before anyone else. He deserves to know what's happening." "Agreed. What do we tell him?" "The truth, in 3-year-old terms. That Uncle Lorenzo cares about Mama very much, that he wants to spend more time with us, that this doesn't change how much we love Daddy." "Will he understand? He's 3. He'll adapt faster than we will." I sipped my coffee, thinking, it's everyone else I'm worried about. Sophia will be shocked but supportive. Your father will have opinions from Florida. The family will deal with it. Elena, I'm the head now. What I say goes. And I say you're off limits to anyone's judgment or disrespect. You're mine and I protect what's mine. Possessive much? You have no idea. His smile was dark. I've been watching other men look at you for 2 years, knowing you were available but forbidden. Do you know how many times I've wanted to break someone's face for asking if you were dating again? Who asked? Marco's old friend Thomas. 3 times. The last time, I told him if he mentioned your name again, I'd make sure he couldn't speak for a month. Lorenzo. What? I was being restrained. My first instinct was to make sure he couldn't speak ever. He pulled me against his side. You don't understand what it's been like, watching you mourn him, respecting your grief, keeping my distance while every instinct screamed at me to comfort you, to tell you that you weren't alone, that I was right there, waiting. You were very good at hiding it. I stopped. You thought what? I thought you blamed me. For Marco's death, you were so cold at the funeral, so distant afterward. I thought you couldn't stand to look at me because I reminded you of him. His arms tightened. Elena, no, God, no. I was distant because if I got too close, I'd break. I'd tell you everything I felt, and you weren't ready. You needed time to grieve, and I needed to respect that. Being cold was the only way I could keep my distance. I wish I'd known. Would it have changed anything? Maybe. Maybe I wouldn't have spent 2 years thinking everyone blamed me for not being there that night. For letting him go to that meeting alone. You couldn't have stopped what happened. It was a planned hit, Elena. If you'd been there, you'd be dead too. And then what? Luca would have lost both parents, and I would have... His voice broke. I can't even think about it. But you think about it. I can see it in your eyes sometimes. The fear. Every goddamn day. Why do you think I have you followed? Why I check in constantly? Elena, you and Luca are the most important things in my life. Losing you would destroy me. We sat in silence for a moment, the weight of everything settling over us. We're really doing this, I said finally. We're really breaking the rules. We're really doing this. Your father is going to lose his mind. My father can retire harder. Maybe take up golf. The gossip will be brutal. Let them talk. I've been talked about my entire life. Luca might struggle with it as he gets older. Then we'll handle it together, as a family. He turned me to face him. Elena, I'm not promising this will be easy, but I am promising I'll be there for every hard moment, every difficult conversation, every challenge. You won't face any of it alone. Promise? I've been keeping promises to you for 7 years that you didn't even know about. I'm not going to stop now. He kissed me again, soft and sweet. Now let's get you home before Sophia sends a search party. The next morning, I woke up to Lorenzo's text at 6 a.m. Good morning. Did you sleep? Because I didn't. I kept thinking about the way you taste and the sound you made when I kissed you. When can I see you again? I smiled into my pillow, feeling like a teenager instead of a 28-year-old widow. Luca wakes up in an hour. Come for breakfast. We'll tell him together. Are you sure? We can wait, I'm sure. Come over. Bring bagels, bossy. I like it. See you soon. I got up and started coffee, still processing everything from last night. Lorenzo Moretti loved me, had loved me for 7 years, and I'd finally admitted what I'd been denying, that I felt the same way. At 7:15, my doorbell rang. Lorenzo stood there in jeans and a sweater instead of his usual suit, holding a bag from our favorite bakery and looking nervous for the first time in years. Hi, he said. Hi. I pulled him inside before any neighbors could see. You look terrified. I'm about to tell a 3-year-old that I want to date his mother, who happens to be my dead brother's wife. I'm allowed to be terrified. He's 3. He'll probably just ask if you brought the chocolate chip bagels. I brought all the bagels. I wasn't sure which ones he liked. I looked in the bag. He'd literally bought one of everything. Lorenzo, there are 12 bagels here. I panicked. Despite my nerves, I laughed. This powerful man who ran a criminal empire was panicking over bagels for a toddler. Come on. He'll be up soon. We set up breakfast in the kitchen, and right on schedule, I heard little footsteps on the stairs. Mama. Luca appeared, rubbing his eyes, clutching his stuffed lion. Then he saw Lorenzo and his face lit up. Uncle Enzo. Hey, buddy. Lorenzo scooped him up easily, and my heart clenched at how natural it looked. I brought bagels. Want to have breakfast with me and Mama? Chocolate chip? Of course. We settled at the table, Luca in his booster seat between us, happily eating his bagel while Lorenzo and I exchanged nervous glances. Luca, honey, I started. Uncle Enzo and I want to talk to you about something. Okay, Mama. He kept eating, unfazed. You know how Uncle Enzo comes to visit us a lot? And how he takes care of us? Uh-huh. He fixes things and brings pizza. Lorenzo smiled. I do bring a lot of pizza, don't I? Well, Uncle Enzo wants to visit even more and spend more time with us. Would that be okay with you? Luca looked between us, processing in the way 3-year-olds do. Like living here? Not yet, Lorenzo said gently. But maybe spending more time here. Having dinner together. Going to the park together. Would you like that? Can we get ice cream? Yes, we can get ice cream. Okay. Luca went back to his bagel. The matter apparently settled in his mind. Lorenzo looked at me with relief. That was easier than expected. He's 3. Everything is easier at 3. I reached over and squeezed Lorenzo's hand, but it was a good start. After breakfast, Lorenzo helped Luca build with blocks while I cleaned up. Watching them together, Lorenzo patient and engaged, Luca laughing and climbing on him like a jungle gym, felt right in a way that made my chest tight. Mama, look, Uncle Enzo made a castle. That's a very good castle. It's for you, Mama. You're the queen. Lorenzo's eyes met mine over Luca's head. Your son has excellent taste. I wonder where he gets that from. My phone rang. Sophia. I stepped into the hallway to answer. Where were you last night? She demanded. I stopped by around 11 and you weren't home. I was out. Running an errand. An errand at 11 p.m.? Sophia, are you seeing someone? Elena, if you're dating again, you can tell me. I'm not going to judge. I closed my eyes. This was it. The first person I'd have to tell. Can you come over now? There's something I need to talk to you about. I'm 5 minutes away. Are you okay? You sound weird. I'm fine. Just come over. I hung up and returned to the kitchen where Lorenzo was now playing airplane with Luca, making Zoom sounds while Luca giggled. Sophia's coming over. In 5 minutes. Lorenzo set Luca down gently. Should I leave? No, she needs to know. And it's better if we tell her together. Elena, are you sure? We can wait. Lorenzo, we're not hiding this. We agreed. I moved closer, lowering my voice so Luca couldn't hear. I'm not ashamed of us. Are you? God, no. I just don't want to make this harder for you. Then don't leave. Stay. Help me tell my sister that I'm dating my dead husband's brother. When you put it like that, it sounds scandalous, forbidden, completely insane. I was going to say inevitable. He touched my face briefly. But those work too. Sophia arrived exactly 5 minutes later, letting herself in with her key. She stopped dead when she saw Lorenzo in the kitchen, playing with Luca. Lorenzo. Hi, I didn't know you were here. Sophia. He stood, always the gentleman. How are you? Confused. Elena said she needed to talk to me urgently and you're here and... Her eyes widened as she looked between us. Oh my God, Sophia. Oh my God. You two, are you? She pressed her hand to her mouth. Elena, are you sleeping with Lorenzo? Sophia. I glanced at Luca, who was thankfully absorbed in his blocks. Can we talk in the other room? Yes, we need to talk. Now. I looked at Lorenzo, who nodded. I'll stay with Luca. Take your time. In the living room, Sophia paced while I sat on the couch, preparing for the interrogation. How long? She demanded. We kissed for the first time last night, but how long have you had feelings for him? I took a breath. 7 years. She sat down hard. 7 years. Elena, you were married to Marco for 5 of those years. I know how it sounds, but I loved Marco. I really did love him. What I felt for Lorenzo was something I pushed down, ignored, pretended didn't exist. Does Lorenzo feel the same way? He says he's been in love with me since before Marco and I got married. Jesus. She rubbed her temples. Elena, do you understand what you're doing? The family will lose their minds. There are rules about this specifically. Brother's widow is off limits. It's been that way for generations. I know the rules. Lorenzo knows the rules. We're breaking them anyway. Why? Why risk everything for... She stopped. Do you love him? Yes, I think I always have. I just couldn't admit it before. Sophia stared at me for a long moment. Then surprisingly, she smiled. Good. Good? Elena, I've watched you survive for 2 years. Not live, survive. Going through motions. Taking care of Luca. Existing but not really there. And this morning you look alive again. If Lorenzo did that, if he makes you feel alive again, then good. You're not mad. I'm terrified for you. The family is going to be brutal. The gossip will be vicious. And Elena, what if it doesn't work out? What if, then we'll deal with it. But Sophia, I've been safe and careful my entire life. I married Marco because he was the safe choice. And I loved him, but... I stopped, trying to find the right words. Lorenzo is the risk I should have taken 7 years ago. I'm not going to waste more time being safe. She hugged me tightly. Okay, I'm here. Whatever you need, I'm here. But Elena, you need to tell the family before someone else does. This can't be a secret. We know. My phone rang. Unknown number, but the caller ID showed it was from the Moretti compound. Hello? Elena, it's Antonio. Lorenzo's consigliere, his voice tight. Is Lorenzo with you? Yes, why? Giovanni knows. Someone saw Lorenzo's car at your house this morning and called him. He's on his way back from Florida. He's not happy. You both need to get to the compound, now. My blood ran cold. How does he know? It doesn't matter how he knows. He knows, and he's calling a family meeting. Elena, this is going to get ugly fast. Get Lorenzo and get here. I'll do what I can to control the damage. He hung up, and I stood frozen, holding my phone. What's wrong? Sophia asked. Lorenzo appeared in the doorway, Luca on his hip. Elena, your father knows. Someone saw your car here. He's coming back from Florida. There's a family meeting. My voice shook. Lorenzo, this is happening now. We're not ready. We're as ready as we're going to be. He handed Luca to Sophia. Can you watch him? Of course. Lorenzo pulled me close. Elena, look at me. We knew this would be hard. We knew there would be consequences. But I'm not backing down. Are you? I thought about the past 7 years, about playing it safe, about following rules that kept me lonely and grieving, about Luca growing up watching his mother settle instead of fight for happiness. No, I'm not backing down. Then let's go face the family. Together. We drove to the compound in Lorenzo's car, my hand in his the entire way. The family estate loomed ahead, the house where I'd had Sunday dinners for years, where I'd celebrated holidays and birthdays, where I'd been welcomed as Marco's wife and mourned as his widow. Now I was about to walk in as Lorenzo's. What? Girlfriend? Partner? The woman breaking every rule? I've got you, Lorenzo said, squeezing my hand. No matter what happens in there, I've got you. I know you do. That's the only reason I'm not running. Running is still an option. We could drive to the airport right now, start over somewhere else, and prove everyone right? That we're shameful? Wrong? I shook my head. No, we face this head on. We show them we're not ashamed. Have I mentioned I love you? Not in the last hour. I was starting to worry. He kissed me, right there in the driveway where anyone could see. I love you, Elena Moretti, and I'm about to make sure every person in that house knows it. Your father is going to explode. Probably. Should be entertaining. We walked into the house hand in hand. The family was already gathered in the main room. Aunts, uncles, cousins, key members of the organization. And at the head of the table, looking like an Old Testament prophet, was Giovanni Moretti. Lorenzo's father had aged since retirement, but he still commanded attention. His eyes fixed on our joined hands, and his expression went from cold to ice. Lorenzo, Elena, how good of you to join us. His voice dripped sarcasm. Please sit. We have much to discuss about respect and rules and how both of you have decided to spit on Marco's memory. Lorenzo's hand tightened on mine. Father, before you say another word, you need to understand something. No, you need to understand something. Giovanni stood. Your brother's widow is off limits. This is not new. This is not negotiable. This is the foundation of our family structure. And you... He turned his glare to me. You should be ashamed. Marco gave you everything. His name, his child, his protection. And 2 years after his death, you're in bed with his brother? We're not in bed with anyone, Lorenzo said coldly. Though my personal life is none of your business anyway. Not my business? You're the head of this family? Exactly. I'm the head, not you. You retired, remember? Which means I make the rules now. And the rule about brothers' widows? He pulled me closer. That's an old rule. One that doesn't serve anyone except men who want to control women even after they're dead. You dare, I dare, because I've loved Elena for 7 years. I loved her before Marco married her. I loved her while she was his wife, and I love her now. And I'm not going to apologize for that or hide it, or pretend it's wrong when it's the most right thing in my life. The room erupted. Voices overlapped, some shocked, some angry, some surprisingly supportive. Antonio stood immediately, positioning himself beside Lorenzo in a clear show of loyalty. But Giovanni's voice cut through the chaos. You think you can just rewrite centuries of tradition because you're infatuated? I think I can rewrite rules that don't serve anyone except dead men's egos, Lorenzo shot back. And father, with all due respect, this stopped being your decision the day you handed me leadership. Leadership doesn't mean doing whatever you want, doesn't it? Lorenzo's voice was deadly calm. Because I seem to remember you making plenty of decisions that broke tradition when it suited you. Like partnering with the Irish when the old guard said never to trust them. Like legitimizing businesses when everyone said we'd lose our power. Like retiring to Florida instead of dying in this chair like your father did. Giovanni's face reddened. That's different. It's exactly the same. You changed rules that needed changing. I'm doing the same. He turned to address the room. Marco was my brother. I loved him, and his death nearly destroyed me. But he's been gone for 2 years. Elena has mourned him properly. And this rule, that his widow must remain alone for the rest of her life, is archaic and cruel. It's about respect, one of the uncles interjected, about honoring the dead, by condemning the living to loneliness. Elena's voice rang out, surprising everyone, including herself. She stood straighter, finding her courage. With all due respect, Uncle Carmine, Marco loved me. He wanted me to be happy. Keeping me isolated and grieving forever doesn't honor his memory. It betrays what he wanted for me. You don't get to speak about what Marco wanted, Giovanni snarled. You're his widow, not his voice. And you're his father, not his keeper. Elena's voice was steady now, stronger. I loved your son. I gave him 5 years of marriage, a child, my complete loyalty. But he's gone, and I'm 28 years old with a lifetime ahead of me. Marco wouldn't want me to spend it alone. How convenient that the person you choose to not be alone with is his brother, another uncle muttered. It's not convenient, Lorenzo said coldly. It's complicated and difficult and goes against every rule I was raised to follow. But it's real, and I'm not apologizing for loving her. You were supposed to protect her, not seduce her, Giovanni accused. I've been protecting her for 7 years, long before Marco died. I protected her from bad investments, from people who wanted to use her connection to our family, from threats she never even knew about. And yes, I loved her while I did it. But I never acted on it, not once while Marco was alive. I respected my brother and his marriage too much for that. But the moment he was gone, I waited 2 years. 2 years of watching Elena grieve. 2 years of keeping my distance while every instinct screamed at me to comfort her. 2 years of respecting mourning periods and traditions and rules. Lorenzo's voice rose. I've done everything right, Father. Everything you would have demanded. And I'm still being condemned because you can't accept that times change. Times change, but honor doesn't. There's no dishonor in love. There's no dishonor in two people finding happiness after tragedy. The only dishonor is in forcing them to hide it or deny it or be ashamed of it. Antonio stepped forward. I support Lorenzo, both as his consigliere and as someone who's watched him torture himself over this for years. He's been in love with Elena since before any of us knew her last name, and he's handled it with more honor than most men would have. You knew. Giovanni turned his fury on Antonio. You knew about this and said nothing? I knew Lorenzo's feelings, but he never acted inappropriately. Even when Elena was widowed, he kept his distance, until now when they both decided they'd waited long enough. Antonio looked around the room, and frankly, anyone who's been paying attention saw this coming. You don't watch someone the way Lorenzo watches Elena without feeling something. So, everyone knew except me? Giovanni's voice was bitter. Everyone knew because everyone was watching. You were in Florida, Lorenzo said. And Father, I'm not asking your permission. I'm telling you out of respect for who you were to this family. But my decision is made. Elena and I are together, and anyone who has a problem with that can take it up with me directly. The room fell silent. This was the moment. Would the family support their leader or side with tradition? Marco's cousin Teresa spoke up, her voice gentle. I think Marco would want Elena to be happy. And Lorenzo, you've been alone too long yourself. Maybe this is meant to be. Meant to be? Giovanni scoffed. This is a betrayal. This is grief. Recognizing grief, Teresa interrupted. Two people who loved Marco finding comfort in each other. How is that betrayal? She's his widow. And she's also a woman with her own life to live. Marco's been gone 2 years, Papa Giovanni. How much longer should Elena mourn? 5 years? 10? Forever? Other voices chimed in. Younger family members mostly, supporting Teresa's point. The older generation looked uncertain, torn between tradition and the reality that their leader had made his choice. This sets a dangerous precedent, one of the older uncles said. What's next? We abandon all the old ways? We abandon the ways that don't serve us anymore, Lorenzo said firmly. The ways that hurt more than help. But the important traditions, family, loyalty, protection, honor, those stay. I'm not destroying our family. I'm evolving it. By sleeping with your brother's widow. By loving a woman who makes me want to be better. Who makes me want to build something beyond just survival and power. Elena makes me think about legacy and future, and what kind of family we're leaving for Luca and any other children who come after. Lorenzo's voice softened slightly. Father, you taught me that family is everything. Well, Elena is family, and I'm choosing to expand that family instead of letting grief and old rules shrink it. Giovanni stared at his son for a long moment. Then he looked at Elena, really looked at her, and something in his expression shifted. You loved my son. Truly? With all my heart, Elena said quietly. Every day we were together, every moment we had. I loved him completely. And now you love Lorenzo? Yes, I tried not to. For years I tried not to, but I do. And Luca, what about my grandson in all this? Luca needs to see that life goes on. That loss doesn't mean the end of happiness. And Elena took a breath. He needs a father figure who's present and involved. Lorenzo has been that for him since Marco died. This just makes it official. Giovanni was quiet, processing. Then he turned to Lorenzo. If you do this, if you go through with this, there will be talk. People will question your judgment, your leadership. Let them. I've proven myself 100 times over. One personal decision doesn't change my capability to lead. And if it divides the family, then the people who leave didn't belong here anyway. Family means supporting each other, especially in difficult choices. Giovanni shook his head slowly, looking older than his years. You're asking me to accept something that goes against everything I was taught. I'm asking you to trust me the way you trusted me when you made me head of this family. I haven't let you down yet. Another long silence. Then Giovanni sighed. I don't like this. I'll probably never fully accept it. But he looked at Elena. Marco is gone. And you're right that he'd want Elena happy more than he'd want her alone. He turned back to Lorenzo. Don't make me regret supporting this. You have my word. The tension in the room eased slightly. Giovanni's acceptance, however reluctant, carried weight with the older generation. Antonio clapped Lorenzo on the shoulder. That went better than expected. The bar was incredibly low, Lorenzo muttered. But his relief was obvious. Elena found herself surrounded by family members, some offering cautious congratulations, others asking questions, a few still clearly disapproving but staying quiet out of respect for Giovanni's decision. Teresa hugged her tightly. I'm glad you're not going to be alone anymore. And Elena? Marco talked about Lorenzo sometimes, about how he wished his brother would find someone. I think he'd approve of this. In his own way, thank you. That means more than you know. After an hour of navigating conversations and accepting conditional blessings, Lorenzo and Elena finally escaped to his office on the second floor. That was, Elena started. Horrible? Terrifying? Like facing a firing squad? I was going to say not as bad as it could have been, but yours works too. She collapsed onto his couch. Your father is going to hate me forever. My father will get over it. He always does. Lorenzo sat beside her, pulling her close. You were incredible in there. Standing up to him, speaking your truth. I've never been more attracted to you. I was shaking the entire time. Courage isn't not being scared. It's being scared and doing it anyway. Did you read that on a motivational poster? Antonio has them all over his office. The man loves inspirational quotes. He kissed her temple. But seriously, Elena, you were amazing. And I'm sorry you had to go through that. We went through it together. That's what matters. So what now? We've told the family. They've reluctantly accepted it. What's next? Elena thought for a moment. Now we actually date, like normal people? Except with bodyguards and family politics and the ghost of your brother between us? When you put it that way, it sounds so romantic. We're not normal people, Lorenzo. We never will be. But maybe we can build something real anyway. I'd like that. The building something real part. He pulled her into his lap. Starting with this. He kissed her. And unlike last night's desperate urgency, this kiss was slow and thorough and full of promise. When they finally broke apart, Elena rested her forehead against his. I love you. I probably should have said that before we faced your father, but I love you. I know. You jumped in front of a metaphorical firing squad for me. That's bigger than words. His hand cupped her face. But say it again anyway. I've waited 7 years to hear it. I love you, Lorenzo Moretti. Even though you're possessive and overprotective and probably slightly crazy. Only slightly? Okay, very crazy. But mine anyway. Yours. Always yours. He kissed her again. Now let's go get our son and take him for that ice cream I promised. Start our life as a real family. Our son, Elena repeated softly. I like the sound of that. Get used to it. Because, Elena, I'm adopting Luca officially, making him legally mine in every way that matters. If you'll let me. Lorenzo, he's Marco's blood and I'll make sure he knows his father. But I want to be his father too, in the ways that count. Being there, raising him, loving him. Can I do that? Tears filled Elena's eyes. Yes, God, yes. They drove back to Elena's house together, hand in hand, the weight of the family meeting finally lifting. Sophia met them at the door with Luca, who launched himself at Lorenzo. Did you have a good time with Aunt Sophia? Lorenzo asked. We made cookies. But I saved you one, Uncle Enzo. He held out a slightly squashed chocolate chip cookie. That's the best gift I've ever received. Lorenzo took a bite. Delicious. Did you help make these? I mixed, and I only ate 3 before Aunt Sophia said, That's enough, mister. 3 is a very reasonable number. Lorenzo looked at Elena. Ready for that ice cream? Can Aunt Sophia come? Luca asked. Of course she can. They went to the ice cream shop Luca loved, the 4 of them like a patchwork family finding their shape. Lorenzo lifted Luca onto his shoulders so he could see all the flavors, and Elena watched them with her heart full. You're happy, Sophia observed. Really happy. I haven't seen you like this in 7 years? Yeah, 7 years. She squeezed Elena's hand. I'm glad you finally let yourself have this. That night, after Luca was asleep and Sophia had gone home, Elena and Lorenzo stood in her kitchen drinking wine and processing the day. We did it, Elena said. We told everyone. Survived the family meeting. Started our life together officially. We did. And Elena? He pulled her close. This is just the beginning. We've got a lifetime of moments ahead of us. Good ones, hard ones, everything in between. I'm ready. As long as you're with me. Always. For the rest of our lives. 6 months later. Mama, look. I made a tower. Luca's voice rang out across Lorenzo's penthouse, where we'd spent increasingly more time over the past months. I looked up from the gallery catalog I was reviewing. Lorenzo had insisted I curate his private art collection, giving me work that actually used my art history degree to see Luca's impressive block construction. That's amazing, baby. How high can you make it? To the ceiling. He started adding more blocks, his tongue sticking out in concentration, a habit he'd inherited from Marco, but that now reminded me of Lorenzo's focused expression when he worked. Careful, buddy. Remember what happened last time? Lorenzo appeared from his office, immediately moving to spot Luca's increasingly precarious tower. He'd changed so much in 6 months. Softer around the edges, quicker to smile, more present in ways that made my heart ache. I got it, Papa, Luca said without thinking, then froze, looking at Lorenzo with wide eyes. The word hung in the air. Papa, not Uncle Enzo anymore. Lorenzo crouched down to Luca's level, his voice thick with emotion. Say that again, Papa? Luca said tentatively. Is that okay? Aunt Sophia said you're going to adopt me, so that makes you my papa now. But if you want me to still call you Uncle Enzo... No. Lorenzo pulled Luca into his arms, and I saw tears on his face. Papa is perfect. Papa is... His voice broke. I'd be honored to be your papa, Luca. Good. Because I already told my friend Tommy that my papa is the strongest in the whole world and can beat up anyone. Lorenzo laughed through his tears. I'll try to live up to that reputation. I wiped my own eyes, watching this moment unfold. The adoption papers were being finalized. Lorenzo had worked with the best lawyers to ensure everything was legal and proper. Giovanni had even signed off on it, his way of showing he'd truly accepted the situation. After Luca went back to his blocks, Lorenzo pulled me into his arms. Did you hear that? He called me Papa, I heard. How does it feel? Like everything finally makes sense. Like 7 years of waiting led to this moment. He kissed me softly. Thank you. For giving me this, for giving me both of you. You gave us yourself. That's not a small thing, Lorenzo. His phone buzzed, the special tone that meant Antonio. Lorenzo's expression shifted immediately, the softness hardening into the leader he had to be. I need to take this. Stay with Luca? Of course. Is everything okay? Just business. Nothing to worry about. But I saw the lie in his eyes. He stepped into his office, closing the door. Through the glass, I could see his posture change, shoulders tense, jaw tight. The conversation clearly not going well. When he emerged 15 minutes later, his expression was carefully neutral, but I knew him too well now. What's wrong? Nothing that can't be handled. Lorenzo. No lies, remember? He glanced at Luca, still absorbed in his blocks, then guided me to the kitchen where we could talk quietly. Someone's making moves, testing boundaries, nothing concrete yet. But Antonio thinks it's connected to our relationship, that I'm seen as distracted or weak because He stopped. Because you're what? In love? Happy? Actually living instead of just surviving? Because I broke tradition, showed vulnerability? Some people see that as an opening. His hand cupped my face. But Elena, I need you to trust that I can handle this. That keeping you and Luca safe is my priority above everything else. Who is it? Who's making moves? The Salvatoris, old enemy of my father's. They think the leadership transition and my personal situation make us vulnerable. His jaw tightened. They're wrong, but they need to be reminded of that. How do you remind them? That's not something you need to worry about. Lorenzo, I'm part of your life now. Part of this family. You don't get to protect me from reality. I'm not protecting you from reality. I'm protecting you from violence. There's a difference. So there will be violence. There might be. Probably will be. But Elena, that's my world. That's the part of me that's still connected to the family business. I handle those things so you don't have to. I don't want you handling them alone. I'm not alone. I have Antonio, my best men, the full weight of the Moretti name behind me. He pulled me close. What I need from you is to stay safe. Let me increase security on you and Luca. Let me do my job. Your job is being a crime boss. My job is protecting my family. Everything else is just methodology. I wanted to argue, but Luca appeared in the kitchen doorway. Mama, Papa, can we watch a movie? Of course, buddy. Lorenzo scooped him up. What do you want to watch? The Lion one, again? We've seen it 17 times. 18 is a good number. Lorenzo laughed, the tension easing from his shoulders. 18 it is, Elena. I'll make popcorn. We settled on the couch, Luca between us, the movie playing, popcorn being shared. A normal family evening, except for the guards stationed outside the penthouse, and the gun I knew Lorenzo kept in the safe beside the couch. This was our life now. Love and danger intertwined, happiness shadowed by violence, normal moments made precious by their fragility. After Luca fell asleep during the movie, Lorenzo carried him to the bedroom we'd set up for him here. He was sleeping at the penthouse more often than at my house now, the three of us becoming a unit. We should talk about moving in officially, Lorenzo said when he returned. This back and forth between your house and here, it's not practical. And if the Salvatoris are moving, I want you here where security is better. You're using a threat to push me to move in? I'm using reality to suggest what I've wanted for months. Move in with me, Elena. Officially. Make this our home. What about my house? Keep it. Rent it. Sell it. I don't care. But please live here, with me. Let me wake up to you every morning instead of just the mornings you happen to stay over. I thought about my little house. The one Marco had bought me. Where I'd lived as his wife and then his widow. Where I'd grieved and survived and eventually started living again. It was time to let it go. Okay, we'll move in. Officially. His smile was brilliant. Yeah? Yeah, but Lorenzo, I need you to promise me something. About the Salvatori situation. What? Don't hide it from me. Don't protect me so much that I don't know what's happening. I need to be your partner, not just the woman you're protecting. Elena, I'm serious. If there's danger, I need to know, so I can make smart decisions about Luca, about our lives. Trust me enough to handle the truth. He was quiet for a moment, then nodded. Okay, no hiding, but you have to trust me to handle it. I do trust you. I just need to know what I'm trusting you to handle. Fair enough. He pulled me into his lap. The Salvatores have been making noise for weeks. Small moves, interfering with shipments, spreading rumors, testing our response time. Antonio thinks they're building to something bigger. Like what? Like a direct challenge to my leadership. Possibly violence. Definitely an attempt to destabilize the family. Because of me? Because you broke tradition? Because they think I'm vulnerable. You're just the excuse they're using. His arms tightened around me. But Elena, they're wrong. I'm not vulnerable. I'm focused. And there's nothing more dangerous than a man protecting what he loves. What's the plan? We're working on it. Gathering intelligence, reaching out to allies, preparing for various scenarios. But he hesitated. There's a possibility I'll need to handle this the old way. The violent way. And I need to know you can accept that part of me. I've always known what you are, Lorenzo. I'm not naive about your world. Knowing intellectually is different from seeing it directly. From knowing I'm capable of violence. From understanding that the man who reads bedtime stories to Luca is the same man who can... He stopped. Can what? Kill people? Hurt people? Protect his family by any means necessary? I cupped his face. I know all of that. And I'm choosing you anyway. Not despite those things, but understanding that they're part of the whole. You're not just the gentleman who plays with Luca. You're also the leader who does what needs to be done. I accept both. You're extraordinary, you know that? I'm realistic. And Lorenzo, I'm not going to fall apart if things get ugly. I'm stronger than you think. I know you are. You survived losing Marco. You survived 2 years alone. You survived facing down my father and the entire family. You're the strongest person I know. He kissed me deeply. Which is why I'm going to ask you something I've been planning for months. What? He shifted, gently moving me off his lap, then got down on one knee. My heart stopped. Lorenzo, Elena Moretti, I've loved you for 7 years. I've waited patiently, broken rules, rebuilt my entire life to make room for you. And now I'm asking you to make it permanent. Marry me. Really marry me. Not as my brother's widow, but as my wife. As my partner in everything. The good, the bad, the dangerous, the beautiful. Make me the luckiest man alive and say yes. He pulled out a ring. A simple, elegant diamond that caught the light perfectly. I know it's complicated. I know Marco's ring is still in a drawer somewhere. I know this means fully letting go of your old life. But Elena, his voice roughened. I want to be your husband. I want to make you my wife in front of everyone. I want Luca to grow up seeing that love can happen twice. That happiness can follow grief. That family is what you choose, not just what you're born into. Tears streamed down my face. Yes, God, yes, I'll marry you. He slipped the ring on my finger, then pulled me down for a kiss that was part celebration, part relief, part promise of everything to come. We're doing this. I breathed against his lips. We're really doing this. We really are. And Elena? He held up his phone, showing a text. Antonio just sent me this. The Salvatores just backed down. Word got out that I was proposing tonight, and they decided discretion was the better part of valor. Apparently attacking a man on the night he proposes is bad optics, even for criminals. You planned this? You proposed to defuse the situation? I propose because I love you, and I've been carrying this ring for a month waiting for the right moment. The timing was just fortuitous. His smile was wicked, though I'm not above using our engagement as a strategic advantage. Fair is fair in love and war. You're impossible. You love it. I really do. We stayed on the floor, wrapped in each other, the ring on my finger catching light from the city below. Somewhere in the bedroom, Luca slept peacefully. Outside, guards protected our family, and in this moment, everything was perfect. 1 year later, I stood in front of the mirror in Lorenzo's penthouse, our penthouse now, adjusting the simple cream dress I'd chosen for today. Not white. That felt wrong for a second wedding. But cream, elegant, with Luca's help picking it out because Mama looks like a princess. You look beautiful. Sophia appeared behind me, already crying. Elena, you look so happy. I am happy. Terrified but happy. Why terrified? You've been living together for a year. This is just making it official. Because this feels different than marrying Marco. That wedding was huge. Hundreds of people. All about tradition and family politics. I gestured to my simple dress, the small ceremony we'd planned. This is just about love. And somehow that feels more important, more real, because it is real. You and Lorenzo, you fought for this. Broke rules, faced down the family, chose each other despite everything. Sophia squeezed my shoulders. That's real love, Elena. The kind that survives everything. A knock at the door. Then Luca burst in wearing his little suit, Lorenzo right behind him trying to fix his tie. Mama, Papa says I look sharp as a tack, but I don't understand because tacks aren't sharp. They're pointy. Different kind of sharp, buddy, Lorenzo said, laughing. Then he saw me and stopped. Elena, wow. You're not supposed to see me before the ceremony. Bad luck. We're getting married on the anniversary of the day I first told you I loved you. In front of both our families who once thought this was forbidden. I think we've already handled all the bad luck we're going to get. He moved closer, Luca between us. Besides, I wanted to give you something. Both of you. He pulled out 2 small boxes. The one for Luca contained a watch. Simple, elegant, with an inscription on the back. To my son. Love always, Papa. This was Marco's, Lorenzo said softly. Your father's. He wore it every day. And now it's yours. So a piece of him is with us today. Luca's eyes went wide. Really? My daddy's watch? Really. When you're older, I'll tell you all about him. How brave he was. How much he loved you and your mama. How he was the best brother I could have asked for. Lorenzo crouched down to Luca's level. He's not here, but he's still part of our family. Always. I'll take good care of it, Papa. I promise. I know you will, son. Then Lorenzo turned to me, opening the second box. Inside was a delicate necklace, a small pendant with 3 stones. Ruby, sapphire, emerald, our birthstones, I breathed. Marco's, mine, and yours. So all 3 of us are with you today. Past, present, and future. He fastened it around my neck. I'm not trying to replace him, Elena. I'm trying to honor him while building our future. Is that okay? I touched the pendant, tears streaming down my face. It's perfect. You're perfect. This whole imperfect, complicated, rule-breaking situation is perfect. Good. Because Giovanni's downstairs already crying. Teresa's organizing the seating even though there are only 30 people. And Antonio made a speech that's apparently 17 minutes long. 17 minutes? I told him to cut it to 5. He negotiated to 12. We settled on 8. Despite my tears, I laughed. How did I get so lucky? We both got lucky. 7 years of torture, but we got here eventually. He kissed me softly. Ready to make this official? More than ready. The ceremony was in the penthouse's main room, which Sophia and Teresa had transformed with flowers and candles. Small, intimate, just family and our closest friends. Giovanni sat in the front row, still not entirely comfortable but present, which was progress. Antonio stood beside Lorenzo as best man, already tearing up. And when the officiant asked who gave Elena to be married, Luca's small voice rang out. I do. I'm giving Mama to Papa because they love each other and Papa promised to always take care of us and we're a family now. The room erupted in laughter and tears. Lorenzo scooped Luca up, holding him while the officiant continued. Well, that's a first, the officiant said, smiling. But beautiful nonetheless. Lorenzo, Elena, you've written your own vows. Lorenzo went first, still holding Luca. Elena, 7 years ago my brother brought home the woman he was going to marry, and I fell in love instantly. I spent 5 years watching you build a life with him, loving you in silence, respecting boundaries that nearly killed me. Then I spent 2 more years watching you grieve, waiting for the right moment, breaking rules to keep you safe. And now, finally, I get to stand here and call you my wife. His voice roughened with emotion. You make me want to be better. You make me believe that men like me can have happy endings. You gave me Luca, gave me a son to raise and love. You gave me a reason to legitimize my life, to build something clean and good. You gave me everything. And I promise, for the rest of my life, I'll spend every day trying to deserve you. To make you happy. To be the man you see when you look at me with those eyes that see past the danger to the person underneath. I love you, Elena. Always have. Always will. I was sobbing by the time he finished. The officiant handed me a tissue before nodding for me to go. Lorenzo. I took a shaky breath. When I married Marco, I thought I knew what love was. He was safe and kind and made me laugh. And I did love him truly. But with you, I touched the necklace. With you, I learned that love can be terrifying and thrilling and complicated and simple all at once. You make me feel alive in ways I didn't know were possible. You see me, really see me, in ways no one ever has. I spent 7 years denying what I felt, pushing it down, ignoring it, pretending it was just admiration or family affection. But it wasn't. It was love. Deep, real, impossible to ignore love. And I'm so grateful to Marco for bringing us together, to you for waiting, to fate for giving us this second chance. I promise to stand beside you always, to be your partner in everything, the leadership, the family, the chaos, the beauty, to raise Luca together, honoring Marco while building our own family. I love you. I choose you, today and every day after. I now pronounce you husband and wife, the officiant said, wiping his own eyes. Lorenzo, you may kiss your bride. Lorenzo handed Luca to Antonio and pulled me close, kissing me deeply while everyone applauded and cheered. When we broke apart, both breathless, Luca wiggled free from Antonio and hugged both our legs. We're married now. All of us, we're a real family. We've always been a real family, buddy, Lorenzo said, picking him up. This just makes it official. The reception was in the same room, casual, full of love and laughter. Giovanni's toast was surprisingly emotional, talking about how he'd been wrong to judge, how love had no timeline or rules, how he was proud of Lorenzo for choosing happiness over tradition. Teresa's toast made everyone cry, talking about Marco's love for both Elena and Lorenzo, how he'd want them to be happy, how family was about supporting each other through everything. And Antonio's toast, which did end up being closer to 12 minutes, was full of stories about Lorenzo's 7-year torture, the rules he'd broken, the lengths he'd gone to protect Elena without her knowing. He's been in love with you since before any of us knew your middle name, Antonio said. And watching him finally get to be happy? That's the best thing I've seen in 12 years of working for this family. Later, after Luca was asleep in his room and the guests had gone home, Lorenzo and I stood on the balcony overlooking the city. We did it, I said. We're actually married. We're actually married. You're Elena Moretti. Again. But different this time. Very different. Better. Hey, Marco was wonderful. And I loved him. But Lorenzo, what we have, this is the kind of love people write about. The kind that survives everything. The kind that's worth breaking rules for. I turned in his arms. I have something to tell you. What? I'm pregnant. He froze. What? I found out 3 days ago. I wanted to wait until after the wedding to tell you. But I can't keep it in anymore. We're having a baby, Lorenzo. A little brother or sister for Luca. His expression went through about 17 emotions before landing on pure joy. We're having a baby? Elena, He picked me up and spun me around. We're having a baby. Lorenzo, put me down before you drop the baby. I'm never dropping you. Either of you. Both of you. He set me down gently. How far along? About 8 weeks. It's still early, but we're having a baby. Our baby. Luca's going to be a big brother. He dropped to his knees, pressing his face against my still flat stomach. Hi in there. I'm your papa, and I already love you so much. You and your mama and your brother. You're my whole world. I ran my fingers through his hair, my heart so full it hurt. We're really doing this, building a life together. A family. The family I've dreamed about for 7 years. He stood, pulling me close. Elena, thank you. For giving me this. For giving me you. For giving me Luca. For giving me this new baby. For making me the happiest man alive. Thank you for waiting. For breaking rules. For loving me even when it was forbidden. I'd wait another 7 years if I had to, though I'm very glad I don't have to. We stood there, wrapped in each other, the city lights twinkling below, our son sleeping inside, a new baby growing between us. This was happiness. Real, complicated, hard-won happiness. I love you, I whispered. I love you more. Impossible. Watch me prove it every day for the rest of our lives. Epilogue. 3 years later. Luca. Stop chasing your sister with the water gun. I called from the penthouse terrace where Lorenzo and I were watching our children play. Luca, now 7, ignored me completely, continuing his pursuit of 3-year-old Gianna, who was shrieking with laughter. He's got Marco's mischief and your determination, Lorenzo observed. Dangerous combination. And Gianna has your stubbornness and Marco's charm. Even more dangerous. I leaned back against him, watching our family. Can you believe this is our life? Sometimes I still wake up and think I'm dreaming. That you're going to disappear. That I'll still be the guy watching from a distance, breaking rules in secret. Well, you're not. You're the guy who broke rules publicly, married his brother's widow, and built a family that breaks every tradition. How does it feel? Like everything I never knew I wanted. He kissed the top of my head. How are you feeling? The morning sickness easing up? I touched my barely there baby bump. A little. This one's easier than Gianna was. Maybe it's a boy. Even things out. Or another girl who'll have you completely wrapped around her finger like her sister does. I'm not wrapped around her finger. Lorenzo, you bought her a pony last week because she said, "Please, Papa," in that voice. That's just good parenting. Teaching her that manners are rewarded. You're hopeless. Hopelessly in love with you. There's a difference. Giovanni appeared on the terrace, Luca immediately running to him. No, watch me do a flip. Carefully. Your grandmother would kill me if you broke something at my house. We're at Papa's house, No. Same thing. This was all my house once. But he was smiling, the relationship between him and Lorenzo finally easy, all old arguments settled. How's retirement treating you? Lorenzo asked. Boring. You young people have all the fun now. Giovanni sat down, Luca climbing into his lap. Though I do enjoy being No more than I enjoyed being boss. Less stressful. You terrorized me for 6 months over this relationship, I pointed out. And I was wrong. I've admitted this multiple times. Must we keep bringing it up? Yes, Lorenzo and I said in unison, then laughed. Teresa came out with refreshments, followed by Sophia and her new fiancé. The terrace filled with family, biological and chosen, complicated and loving, exactly what we'd built together. Speech. Antonio called from inside. Lorenzo's making a speech. I'm not making a speech. You're the patriarch now. You have to make speeches. It's in the rule book. What rule book? The one I'm writing. Chapter 1. Always make speeches at family gatherings. Despite himself, Lorenzo laughed. He stood, pulling me up with him, his arm around my waist. Fine. A speech. We're gathered here today. Wait, that's weddings. Let me start over. He looked around at our family. 10 years ago, my brother brought home the woman he loved. I fell for her immediately, but kept quiet because that's what honor demanded. When Marco died, I waited 2 years before saying anything. And when I finally did, half of you thought I was making a terrible mistake. Only half, Giovanni muttered. But here we are. Elena and I have been married for 3 years. Luca's thriving. Gianna's perfect. We have another baby on the way. And this family, this complicated rule-breaking, formerly feuding family, is stronger than ever. So my speech is this. Sometimes breaking rules is exactly what needs to happen. Sometimes honoring the dead means letting the living be happy. And sometimes, he pulled me closer, sometimes waiting 7 years for the right person is worth every moment of torture. To breaking rules, Antonio raised his glass. To happy endings, Teresa added. To family, Giovanni finished. We all raised our glasses, and I looked around at the faces I loved. The family that had fought me, accepted me, welcomed me, grew with me. This was what we'd built. Not despite the complications, but because of them. What are you thinking? Lorenzo asked later, after everyone had gone home and the kids were asleep. That I'm grateful. For all of it. The waiting, the rules we broke, the family drama, the happiness we fought for. It made us stronger. Worth it? Every second. I touched my belly. We're building something beautiful, Lorenzo. A family that chooses love over tradition, that evolves instead of stagnates. That started with me ordering espresso, and you serving it with a smile 7 years ago in a completely different context than this current life. I laughed. That's not how we met, I know. But it's a better story than I fell in love with my brother's girlfriend and spent 7 years in torture. Both stories are true. Both matter, I kissed him softly, and both led to this, to us, to our beautiful, complicated, rule-breaking family. Best broken rule I ever made, best choice I ever made. Choosing me, choosing us, choosing to break the rules. choosing to build this life despite everyone saying we shouldn't. I rested my forehead against his. I'd choose it again. Every time. In every lifetime. Good. Because you're stuck with me now. Forever. Promise? Promise. We stood on the terrace, the city lights below, our children sleeping inside, a new baby growing, our family complete. This was happiness. Hard-won, rule-breaking, absolutely perfect happiness. And 7 years of waiting had been worth every single moment to get here.